Greetings, I'm James Ridgway, CEO of Educational Opportunities Tours. I wanted to share a few insights with you about your upcoming extension to Egypt. EO has operated extensions to Egypt from Israel for over 30 years, and I personally know just about all of our guides and drivers in Egypt. Egypt plays a central role in the Bible as a destination of refuge and of bondage. While the route to Egypt has changed through the years, Egypt itself remains a fascinating and timeless destination. I'm sure you'll enjoy your time exploring this ancient culture. Before you arrive in Egypt, you have about a 5-hour journey to the Taba border crossing in Eilat, Israel, with at least 2 stops, one at Ein Bokek on the Dead Sea, and a second stop at a dairy farm with a coffee shop, restaurant, snacks, and delicious ice cream, about half an hour from Eilat. Please consider the dairy farm your lunch stop, as there will be no lunch stop once you cross into Egypt. You might also want to get an extra bottle of water here as well. Maybe you're wondering why you won't be flying to Egypt. We take bus transportation to Egypt for a couple of reasons. First, flights from Tel Aviv to Cairo are unreliable and very expensive, $400 or more for a one-way ticket. Second, and more importantly, the Sinai Desert is central to the Exodus narrative. It is a beautiful, unspoiled part of Egypt, but more on this later. As you pack for your journey to Egypt, remember that the Central Sinai is your first stop after the Egyptian border and can be quite cooler than Israel. Please take something warm with you on the bus, as you may not have access to your large suitcase until the evening. At the Taba border crossing, you will have an opportunity to claim any VAT refunds before crossing through passport control and making about a 200-yard walk with your luggage to the terminal on the Egyptian side. Please have your passport handy. As you can imagine, security at the border is very visible and cameras are not permitted. Crossing the border can take an hour or 2. Once on the Egyptian side, you will pass through airport-type security with your luggage. Then our representatives will meet you right after the security checkpoint with your visa stamps. Next, you will board your Egyptian bus and meet the team who will be traveling with you in Egypt. Your Egyptian team consists of your Egyptologist guide and the Egyptian escort who manages lunch, hotel check-in, and other travel details, your driver, and finally a dedicated armed security person employed by the Egyptian government. Egypt has utilized security persons with American groups for over 20 years. Our American embassy also requires security vehicles to travel with American bus convoys on long-distance journeys while in Egypt. Security checkpoints are also placed throughout the country by the Egyptian government. Now that the logistics are covered, let's take a look at the beautiful journey on which you're about to embark. Your Egyptian journey begins in the Sinai, which is the setting for the Israelites' 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. St. Catherine's, the first stop in the Sinai, is the most remote place on earth to which I have traveled. Food and water still have to be trucked into this location, and accommodations are rustic. However, there is something special about visiting Mount Sinai and St. Catherine's Monastery. Consider Moses tending his flocks and meeting the daughters of Jethro in this region. Envision the Israelites' difficult existence in this barren region and contrast that to the lush, green Nile River Valley. Finally, contrast the giving of the 10 Commandments at Sinai against the book of Hebrews, remembering how God replaced the Old Covenant with the new and better covenant through Jesus Christ. On your visit, you will see the monastery that was built in the 6th century by Justinian. This location has been a site of pilgrimage since at least the 4th century. Besides the traditional burning bush and the well of Moses, the monastery sheltered the prophet Muhammad and is thus sacred to all 3 monotheistic religions. The 4th century Codex Sinaiticus, one of the best sources of the Greek New Testament, was discovered here in the 19th century. It is possible for you to climb Mount Sinai, and with our itinerary, the climb would coincide with the sunrise at the top of Mount Sinai. Wear warm clothes, good walking shoes, and be prepared to leave the hotel around 2 a.m. in the morning if you decide to climb. Let me cover 2 more essential items about your travel in Egypt. Please only drink bottled water in Egypt, as the water has elements that our bodies are not accustomed to in the United States. Please also use bottled water to wash your toothbrush. As for food, please only eat cooked food or fruits and vegetables that can be peeled. Vegetables that have to be washed, like lettuce, should be avoided because of the water. Regarding currency, the local currency is the Egyptian pound. American dollars and credit cards are readily accepted in all tourist locations. It's good to have a supply of American dollars with you for small purchases and the love offering to your Egyptian team. For those of you overnighting at Sharm el-Sheikh, this is one of the great beach and diving destinations in the world. There's usually time for a glass-bottom boat ride over one of the world's great reefs as well. As you cross into the continent of Africa, Cairo is a stop for just about everyone. A metropolis of over 20 million people, Cairo is the largest city in the Middle East. Some of you will travel on to Luxor and/or a Nile River cruise. You'll be flying to and from Upper Egypt and will pass through normal airport security procedures on this modern flight. The Nile River in Luxor is one of my absolute favorite places in the world. There are many more important items that you can quickly read about in our Egyptian extension flyer, including shopping, additional tips, optional touring, and sightseeing notes like how to ride a camel at the pyramids. Please take a moment to review this information. I hope you have an exciting time exploring the wonders of Egypt and would love to hear about your journey when you return.